Edgar Cayce Explained, the mysterious energy that pulls the soul out of sleep. Tonight, when you close your eyes, you will believe you are simply resting. Your body will grow heavy, your breathing will slow, the world around you will fade into silence. But according to Edgar Cayce, America's most documented psychic, something far more profound is taking place. While your physical form lies motionless beneath the covers, another body, one you've never consciously known, begins to stir. It is luminous, weightless, made not of flesh, but of energy older than your bones. And in the deep hours before dawn, this other self lifts away from you like steam rising from water. It does not go far at first. It hovers. It stretches. It tests a connection most people will never see, a silver thread, finer than spider silk, that tethers your departing soul to the body left behind. This is not metaphor. This is not mystical poetry meant to inspire. This is the mechanics of your soul's nightly exodus, and what Edgar Cayce revealed about it will change how you understand every moment of sleep for the rest of your life. You have done this thousands of times. Every night since birth, your soul has left your body and traveled into dimensions that exist beyond waking memory, and every morning it has returned, sliding back into flesh so seamlessly that you never noticed the journey. But tonight you will notice, because now you know. Edgar Cayce did not theorize about the soul's departure. He witnessed it. For over 40 years, while lying in trance on a simple couch, Cayce gave readings that described the invisible with surgical precision. He spoke of energy centers loosening their grip. He named the exact moment when the etheric double, what he called the vital body, detaches from flesh and drifts upward into realms unseen. His words were not abstract philosophy debated in metaphysical circles. They were detailed maps of a territory most people traverse every night without knowing its name. Thousands of readings, thousands of documented cases preserved in the archives of the Association for Research and Enlightenment. And in reading after reading, Cayce returned to the same truth. Sleep is not unconsciousness. It is migration. Your soul does not shut down when your body rests. It travels. Cayce described the silver cord that keeps you tethered. He warned of the dangers of severing it too abruptly. He explained why certain people wake in terror, why some never wake at all, and why the ancients taught that you must never startle a sleeper. He saw what happens when the etheric body cannot fully separate, how illness roots itself in blockages between worlds, how unresolved fear keeps the soul chained too tightly to flesh, unable to reach the higher currents where healing flows. And he understood something most spiritual teachers overlook. The soul's nightly pilgrimage is its most vulnerable act, more vulnerable than birth, more exposed than death, because every night you practice dying, and every morning you practice resurrection. This is the teaching Cayce brought back from the other side, not belief, not hope, knowledge. And it begins with understanding the body you didn't know you had. You have always assumed you possess one body. You look in the mirror and see skin, bone, the curve of your face, the hands that hold this life together. But according to Cayce's readings, you are wearing multiple forms, nested within each other like layers of light. The physical body is the outermost shell, dense, visible, subject to gravity and time. But beneath it, or perhaps within it, lies something far older, the etheric body, a luminous blueprint made of energy channels, invisible organs, and the vital force that animates every cell of your flesh. Cayce described it as a double, an exact replica of your physical form, but constructed from finer substance. It follows the same contours, the same shape, but it does not obey the same laws. It can pass through walls, it can travel vast distances in an instant, and every night it does. This etheric body is not abstract energy scattered through space. It has architecture. Cayce spoke of 7 major centers, what Eastern traditions call chakras, that act as doorways between the physical and the unseen. During waking hours, these centers remain tightly locked, holding your consciousness firmly inside flesh. But when you sleep, they loosen. The crown center opens first, like a valve releasing pressure, then the heart, then the solar plexus. One by one, the locks disengage, and the etheric body begins to rise. It does not leave all at once. It lifts slowly, gently, like a balloon released from a child's hand. And as it rises, it carries your consciousness with it, your awareness, your memory, the part of you that knows and experiences and learns. This is the form that dreams in color. This is the self that meets loved ones who have passed. This is the traveler who wanders through temples that exist only in the astral, who learns from beings of light, who touches the edge of eternity and returns before dawn. You have worn this body your entire life. You simply never knew it had a name. The etheric body does not leave out of boredom. It does not abandon you because the physical world has grown tiresome. It leaves because it must, because staying too long in the density of flesh would suffocate it. Cayce explained that the physical realm is saturated with thought forms. Every emotion you feel, every worry you carry, every unresolved fear or anger, it clings to your energy field like tar. The longer you remain awake, the heavier your etheric body becomes, weighed down by the residue of living. Sleep is not collapse, it is ascension. Your soul rises each night to cleanse itself in higher frequencies, to wash away the psychic grime accumulated during waking hours. It travels to currents of light that do not exist in the physical dimension, currents that restore vitality, clarity, and alignment with your deeper purpose. Think of it like this. Your body breathes oxygen to stay alive, but your soul breathes something else. It breathes frequency, vibration, the pure, unfiltered energy of creation itself. And it can access that energy while trapped in the density of matter, so it leaves. Every night, without fail, your etheric body rises to drink from wells that do not exist in this world. It seeks out the borderlands between sleep and waking, the astral planes where thought becomes form, where intention shapes reality, where the soul remembers what it came here to do. But this necessity carries risk. The journey is not always smooth. The pathways are not always clear. And the return, the delicate process of re-entering flesh, is not always guaranteed. In one documented case preserved in the ARE archives, Cayce described a young man whose etheric body became entangled in the lower astral planes. He had gone to sleep consumed by rage, and that emotion acted like gravity, pulling his soul downward into shadowed realms where anger feeds on itself. He woke 3 days later, disoriented and drained, as though he had fought a war while his body rested. The soul must leave, but it must also know how to return. Now we arrive at the mechanism that makes the nightly journey possible. Imagine a thread thinner than spider silk, but stronger than any material known to science. Luminous, pulsing with life force, stretching across astral distances that have no measure in miles. This is the silver cord Cayce described, the lifeline connecting your etheric body to your physical form. As long as this cord remains intact, your soul can travel to the farthest reaches of the astral plane and still find its way home. It is the invisible tether that allows you to wake each morning in the same body you left behind. Cayce saw it clearly in his readings. He described its appearance, silvery blue, shimmering with a light that does not come from any earthly source. He explained its function, a conduit of vital energy flowing constantly between the two bodies, keeping the physical form alive while the soul wanders. The cord attaches at the solar plexus during most of life, but as you age, as your soul prepares for its final departure, the attachment point begins to shift upward, toward the heart, then the throat, then the crown. This is why the elderly often sleep more lightly. Their cord is loosening, readying itself for the moment when it will dissolve completely and the soul will not return. But the cord is not invincible. Sudden shocks can fray it. Intense fear, the kind that jolts you awake in the middle of a nightmare, can cause it to snap back with such force that the etheric body slams into flesh, leaving you disoriented, your heart racing, your body flooded with adrenaline. Certain substances weaken the cord. Alcohol, drugs that alter consciousness without spiritual preparation. These create a looseness that feels like freedom but is actually vulnerability. The etheric body drifts too far, too quickly, without the awareness to navigate safely. And entities that dwell in the lower astral planes, thought forms, parasitic energies, fragments of unresolved darkness, can attach themselves to an unprotected traveler. This is why ancient cultures knew you do not wake a sleeper suddenly. You do not shout into the ear of the dreaming. To do so is to risk severing the cord or causing such violent re-entry that the person never fully recovers. The silver cord is your lifeline. Treat it with reverence. Not all sleep is equal. Cayce's readings identified 3 distinct zones your etheric body passes through each night. 3 realms, each with its own terrain, inhabitants, and purpose. The first is the borderlands. This is the gray twilight zone you enter immediately upon falling asleep. Here, the thought forms of your day begin to dissolve. Worries lose their shape. Memories blur. The soul shakes off the gravitational pull of the physical world and begins to lighten. The borderlands are neither beautiful nor terrible. They simply are. A transition space, a hallway between worlds. Some people linger here all night, never fully releasing into deeper realms because fear or attachment keeps them tethered too close to flesh. But if the soul releases fully, it passes into the second zone, the astral proper. This is where the journey truly begins. The astral plane is a realm of light, color, and infinite possibility. Here, thought becomes form instantly. If you imagine a garden, the garden appears. If you call out for a loved one, they may arrive. This is the dimension where you meet guides, beings of higher consciousness who have walked the path before you. Teachers who offer wisdom without words, transmitting understanding directly into your awareness. And this is where you encounter loved ones who have passed, not as ghosts, but as fully realized souls who waited for you to cross the threshold into their world. In one reading, Cayce described a woman who visited her deceased mother every night in the astral plane. She did not remember these meetings upon waking, but her grief gradually lifted, and she began to feel a peace she could not explain. Her soul remembered. The love had not ended. It had simply moved to a different frequency. But there is a third realm, deeper still, beyond the astral, beyond form, beyond even the concepts of self and other. This is the realm Cayce called the Christ consciousness, the space where your soul touches its eternal blueprint and remembers why it incarnated. Here there are no images, no shapes, only pure knowing, pure light, the presence of the divine, undiluted and overwhelming. Not all souls reach this depth every night, but when they do, they return changed in ways the conscious mind cannot articulate. You cycle through these zones multiple times each night, rising and falling like a tide. Most people awaken with no memory of the journey, but the soul remembers, and it returns carrying gifts the waking mind will spend the day discovering. While your conscious mind rests, your etheric body is laboring. This is not passive wandering. This is deliberate, purposeful work that cannot be accomplished in the density of waking hours. Cayce's readings describe a precise itinerary. Your soul attends councils, gatherings of beings who guide the evolution of consciousness on Earth. You receive instruction, downloads of information that will surface later as sudden insights, creative breakthroughs, solutions to problems you've carried for months. Some nights you negotiate karmic contracts. You meet with souls you have unfinished business with, people you've hurt, people who've hurt you. And in the privacy of the astral plane, you work toward resolution. Forgiveness happens here first, long before it manifests in your waking relationships. Other nights, you are a healer. Your soul sends energy across vast distances to those you love, wrapping them in light while they sleep, offering comfort they may never consciously recognize but will feel as a sudden easing of pain, a softening of sorrow. And there are nights when you are a student in temples that exist only in the astral, ancient schools of wisdom where the mysteries are taught not in words, but in direct transmission. You learn the mechanics of creation, the architecture of reality, the laws that govern soul growth across lifetimes. In one case documented by Cayce, a man reported feeling exhausted every morning despite sleeping 8 hours. When Cayce entered trance and accessed the man's records, he revealed that the man's soul was teaching mathematics to children in the astral plane, a continuation of his earthly calling as a schoolteacher. The work was real, the exhaustion was earned. This is the hidden curriculum of sleep. Your soul does not rest, it works. And the more you honor this work, the more aligned your waking life becomes with your eternal purpose. Not every night is peaceful. Sometimes the etheric body encounters turbulence, thick thought forms that trap it in lower astral zones, entities that attach to its luminous field, disruptions in the silver cord that cause the soul to snap back into flesh too quickly. This is the origin of sleep paralysis. You wake, but your etheric body has not fully re-entered. You are caught between worlds, conscious but unable to move. The physical body is still locked in sleep's paralysis, but the mind is awake and terrified. Cayce explained that this happens most often when fear dominates the consciousness at the moment of falling asleep. Fear acts like a magnet, pulling the etheric body downward into realms where predatory energies dwell. These are not demons in the religious sense. They are thought forms, fragments of rage, despair, and terror that have taken on a life of their own, feeding on the fear of unprotected travelers. Nightmares are not random. They are signals. Your soul encountered resistance. It wandered into territory it was not prepared to navigate. Or it is processing unresolved trauma, replaying the psychic wounds that need healing before the soul can move forward. In one reading, Cayce described a woman plagued by recurring nightmares of drowning. He revealed that in a past life she had died at sea, and her soul carried the memory of that terror. Each night she re-entered the same psychic space, trying to heal the wound. The nightmares did not stop until she consciously acknowledged the past life memory and released it through prayer and forgiveness. This is why spiritual hygiene matters. The state of your consciousness at the moment you fall asleep determines the trajectory of your soul's journey. Go to sleep in fear and you will travel through fear. Go to sleep in peace and you will rise into realms of light. Cayce did not leave you defenseless. His readings offered precise instructions for preparing the etheric body for its nightly journey, practices that ensure safe passage and purposeful travel. First, cleanse your mind before sleep. Do not carry the day's anxieties into the night. Cayce recommended a simple practice: review the day without judgment, acknowledging what went well and releasing what did not. This clears the psychic residue that would otherwise weigh down your etheric body. Second, set an intention. Speak it aloud or silently, but speak it clearly. I seek healing tonight. I ask for guidance. I invite the presence of my higher self. and those who serve my soul's growth. Intention acts like a compass, directing your soul toward the realms that serve your highest good. Third, avoid heavy foods or stimulants before bed. These anchor the soul too tightly to flesh, making it difficult for the etheric body to rise. Cayce was specific. No meat within 3 hours of sleep. No caffeine, no alcohol, which loosens the cord without providing protection. Fourth, create a harmonious sleeping environment. Remove sources of electromagnetic interference, phones, televisions, devices that emit frequencies that disrupt the subtle energy field. Cayce recommended sleeping with the head facing north, aligning the body's magnetic field with Earth's natural currents. And finally, invoke protection. A simple prayer, spoken from the heart. I surround myself with the light of the Christ consciousness. I ask that only those energies aligned with my highest good may approach. I travel in peace, and I return in peace. This is not superstition. This is soul mechanics, and the more consciously you prepare, the more profound your nightly journeys become. Cayce's most famous legacy lies in his medical readings, and sleep was central to every healing protocol he prescribed. He understood that true regeneration occurs not in waking hours, but when the etheric body separates and draws down higher frequencies to repair the physical form. Specific illnesses, he said, resulted from blockages in the etheric body, congested energy centers, frayed cords, souls that could not fully detach due to fear, trauma, or unresolved karma. And when the etheric body cannot rise freely, the physical body suffers. In one case, a man came to Cayce with chronic insomnia and a host of physical ailments, digestive issues, joint pain, persistent fatigue. Cayce's reading revealed that the man's etheric body was unable to separate due to deep-seated guilt. Every night his soul attempted to rise, but the weight of unresolved shame pulled it back down before it could reach the healing currents. The remedy was not pharmaceutical. Cayce prescribed forgiveness work, prayer, and a practice of conscious release before sleep. Within weeks, the man's insomnia lifted. The physical symptoms began to resolve. His soul had finally been freed to do its nightly work. Cayce taught that the body heals itself when the soul is allowed to travel unobstructed. The etheric body acts as a conduit, drawing down vital energy from higher dimensions and distributing it through the physical form. This is why you wake feeling refreshed after deep sleep. Not because your body rested, but because your soul bathed in frequencies that restored you at the cellular level. Honoring the nightly exodus is not optional for those seeking true health. It is foundational. Sleep is not neutral. It is a classroom. According to Cayce, the etheric body uses its nightly separation to review the day's actions, process unresolved karma, and align itself with the soul's larger purpose. Some dreams are not dreams at all. They are memories of these reviews, glimpses of the soul's efforts to correct course, to forgive, to understand. You wake with sudden clarity about a relationship. A decision that seemed impossible yesterday now feels obvious. A wound you've carried for years suddenly releases its grip. This is not random insight. This is your soul delivering the memo. It worked through the night, reviewing your karmic ledger, negotiating with other souls, accessing the Akashic Records, the cosmic library where every thought, action, and intention is recorded across all lifetimes. Cayce described this process in detail. Each night, your soul stands before its own record and asks, what did I learn today? Where did I fail to love? Where did I succeed in aligning with my higher purpose? And based on these answers, the soul makes adjustments. It sets intentions for the next day. It calls in support from guides and loved ones. This is why certain mornings you wake with an inexplicable urge to call someone you haven't spoken to in years, Or you suddenly understand the lesson hidden inside a painful experience. Your soul worked through the night, and the conscious mind is only now catching up. Sleep reframes itself as a sacred dialogue between your waking self and your eternal essence. And the more you honor this dialogue, the faster you evolve. Ancient cultures knew, you do not wake a sleeper suddenly, you do not shout into the ear of the dreaming. For to do so is to risk severing the silver cord, or causing the etheric body to slam back into flesh with such violence that the person awakens disoriented, terrified, or worse, damaged in ways the physical eye cannot see. Cayce echoed this wisdom. He urged gentleness with the sleeping, especially the elderly, the ill, and children, whose cords are more delicate, more easily disrupted. When someone is sleeping, their soul is traveling. They are vulnerable, exposed, engaged in work that requires their full presence in another dimension. To jolt them awake is to interrupt a sacred process, like slamming a door on someone mid-prayer. This extends beyond the living. Cayce taught that we must also honor those in the final stages of life, whose etheric bodies are beginning the slow process of permanent separation. Their sleep deepens. They drift in and out of consciousness. They speak to people who are not in the room, loved ones who have already crossed over, waiting on the other side to guide them through. Do not dismiss this as confusion. Do not pull them back with desperate pleas to stay. Their soul is preparing, the cord is loosening, and the kindest thing you can do is give them permission to go. In one reading, Cayce described a family gathered around a dying father. The man's etheric body had already begun its final ascent, but the family's grief kept calling him back. He lingered for days in agony, torn between two worlds, unable to complete the journey because love held him tethered. Cayce's advice was simple. Tell him it's okay to leave. Release him with blessing. And within hours, the man passed peacefully, his soul finally free to rise. This is the compassion Cayce's teachings call us toward, to honor the sleep of others as we wish our own sleep to be honored, to recognize that rest is sacred, and departure, whether nightly or final, is a journey deserving of reverence. There will come a night when your etheric body rises as it has countless times before. But this time the silver cord does not hold. It dissolves like morning mist, and the soul continues onward, no longer tethered to flesh. Cayce taught that death is simply sleep that chooses not to return, a threshold crossed with the same mechanics you have practiced every night of your life. The etheric body lifts, the consciousness shifts. The only difference is the cord releases, and the physical form is left behind permanently. This is why the dying often speak of going home or taking a long rest. They recognize the familiar pull, the gentle lifting, the sensation they have felt thousands of times but never consciously remembered. Death is not foreign. It is not violent or terrifying when approached with understanding. It is the deepest, most peaceful sleep you will ever know, followed by an awakening into a dimension your soul has visited many times but never stayed in long enough to call home. Cayce described what happens after the cord dissolves. The soul rises through the borderlands quickly, no longer needing to pause or struggle. It passes through the astral plane and continues upward into realms of light, where beings of love wait to welcome it. There is a life review, not judgment but understanding. The soul sees every moment of its incarnation, every choice, every consequence, and it learns, it integrates, it prepares for whatever comes next. And eventually, when the lessons have been absorbed, the soul chooses to return, to incarnate again, to take on flesh and forget, so it can remember all over again. You have rehearsed your own death every night since birth. The final departure will not be foreign. It will feel like coming home. You are no longer a passive sleeper. You understand now that each night is a journey, each dawn a homecoming. Cayce's teachings invite you to live differently, to honor your body as the vessel your soul temporarily inhabits, to prepare for sleep with reverence, to awaken with gratitude for the unseen work your spirit performed. This is not about perfection. You will not suddenly remember every detail of your nightly travels. The conscious mind is not built to hold those memories. They would overwhelm it, distract it from the work of living in flesh. But awareness changes everything. When you know that your soul leaves each night, you approach sleep differently. You do not take it for granted. You do not fill the hours before bed with chaos and noise. You create space. You set intention. You treat the transition from waking to sleeping as the sacred threshold it is. And even if you never consciously recall your astral travels, your soul remembers. It carries the gifts back, the healing, the insight, the love received from guides and loved ones who wait for you on the other side of sleep. The more you honor the nightly exodus, the more aligned your waking life becomes with your eternal purpose. Decisions feel clearer. Relationships deepen. The things that once consumed you lose their power because your soul knows, truly knows, that this life is temporary, but the journey is infinite. Cayce taught that we are not human beings having spiritual experiences. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and every night we return to our true nature. We shed the costume of flesh and remember who we really are. This is the gift of conscious sleep. To live as a soul who knows it is never truly confined to flesh. If these teachings resonated with something deep inside you, know that Cayce's body of work is vast, and this is only the beginning. Over 14,000 documented readings, decades of wisdom preserved and waiting for those ready to explore the hidden mechanics of the soul. Subscribe to continue this journey. We will walk through the mysteries of healing, the architecture of karma, the prophecies Cayce brought back from the Akashic Records, and the ancient wisdom modern science is only beginning to rediscover. Share this with someone who struggles with sleep, someone who fears death, someone who senses there is more to consciousness than waking hours reveal. Your sharing may be the moment their soul has been waiting for, the gentle invitation to remember, and tonight, before you close your eyes, whisper a quiet intention to travel safely, to learn deeply, to return gently. Ask for guidance, invite protection, and trust that your soul knows the way. You have been traveling between worlds your entire life. You simply didn't know it had a name. Now you do. Your soul has been waiting for you to remember, and now that you have, every night becomes sacred, every sleep a pilgrimage, every dawn a resurrection. Welcome home, traveler. The journey is just beginning.